This is Irontrader, and this is the last call of the day. So we'll take a look here at Bitcoin, at gold, silver, crude oil, natural gas. We'll take a look at the indexes, which are just getting hammered red. All right, at the end of the video, the support and resistance levels are posted for crude and natural gas. This video is for information purposes only, not a recommendation by signing stock market ETF. Please like, subscribe. Thanks for watching. Alrighty, here we have Bitcoin daily and weekly chart. Now, you look at the Dow, you're down about 886. S&P's down 141, and the Nasdaq's getting hammered at 554. Now, this is all happened like last Friday when the T-Man announced that there's going to be 10% tariffs on 8 different countries because they don't want him to buy Greenland, okay? And then he's talking about raising up to 25%. These tariffs are just getting hammered. Is going to hammer the stock market. So you're going to have to get used to this situation unless the Supreme Court says that the DMZ tariffs are illegal. But if they don't, you're going to have to get used to this trading situation because that's exactly what we're going to be having here. You're going to have your ups and you're going to have some big downs kind of a situation. Okay, so let's just see how this all shakes out. Now, Bitcoin just get hammered here today. Now, the short was working really, really good today. BITI, video short, working very, very nicely, okay? Now, you can hold the long. A lot of times, I'll hold that BITX, okay? But you can also, jump right into that short ski, BITI, and make it both way directions. And when it comes bottom, add to that long position, take it right back up. So there's many ways, just because you have a down market doesn't mean you can't make any kind of a money here, okay? So here we have the Bitcoin. You can see we topped out at that 98,200 level. She was rolling up very, very nicely. And then last Friday, we put this indecision candle in, and then green today, boom, below the 850-day and that 21 SMA here. So now today we made this low up 89,285 here level. So what you're looking at is right there, 88,720. That's going to be your next target. And then we'll come down to the bottom here, 87,125. Then we'll come to the bottom there at 86,380. And then we have 85,135. And then we're looking for that right here, this 84. Right there, 84,505 level, and then we have 84,120, and then here's your big boy, 87,50 level, okay? Now, this has to get back above these simple moving averages because now your price is below everything, okay? So you got to get better back. This is going to be your key resistance, 97.41. Your next key level is going to be 91.933, and that is going to be your 50-day, and then we have your 8-day at 93.290. Now, get above that, we go to today's high, 95,600 level, and then we're looking for that 98,200 level. Now, if we crack above that, then we're looking here for the 21-day. You're looking at 108.56, and then the 50-day, 101.302. Then we come up here, we have 102.663, and then 104.340. That is your 200-day. Right now, she's still looking pretty ugly, but okay, big but here. We still have a low, a higher low, and a higher low situation. Okay, so until you crack that 84,505. This is just one day. Remember, one day does not make a market. Just remember that, okay? Now, 44, that's not overbought, oversold. The green is still over your red, and it could kind of crash down. Once it crosses that line there, then this is what the result is, what you get, okay? So, again, right now, this is just a trade, and it's a two-way trade situation. Now, here by Friday, we got to hold that 100 SMA here, 87,511. If not, you could retest that 8750 very, very easily, okay? Now, this is only sitting at 41. That was rolling up pretty nice, but now she came down. The green is below your red here. Got the little bars moving up here. So as long as we're holding this 100-day here by Friday, this is still an uptrending situation, so just remember that, okay? But right now, you got to get right back above that 21-day, that 50 SMA here, and that key 8 SMA here to take a run at that retest at 80, 98, 200. All right, let's take a look here now at gold and silver. All right, here we have gold, here we have silver. Now, I always look at these as a fear factor, okay? When gold is rising up here, there's fear, okay? When silver's running up, that's fear, okay? So just remember that. Now, trade for me, I'm long GLD. I jumped right in there, got in late, don't care. Got in there, and I just think you're 47.71. We're going to go to that 4,800. And just like I've been telling you all along here, I just think we're going to go towards that 5,000 mark is where you want to push it. Now, we still have this negative divergence going here, okay? But as this rises up, we come up to the level of that, well, then that would negate that, and this is going higher. Just that simple. The green is over your red, shows good momentum, and you got an uptrending chart. I mean, it's just like, there's nothing to hold this back. Now, your only support level here is all the way down here at 46.50, okay, 46.04, 44.97, and you come all the way down to 43.16. But right now, this is looking higher. Now, a lot of times when you get outside that price channel like we had here, you run up there for a couple, 3 days, and then it wants to pull right back in towards that, and let that 8-day catch up. But right now, I'm just long the trade. I'll be waiting here till 6 o'clock, see what the futures open up here. But right now, GLD for the long, that's the trade. Okay, silver, same thing. Long the SLV, as long as we're holding that 93.70. I got a stop loss right there. We go below that, well, then I'm out of the trade, okay? But right now here, we hit that 95.78 level. I just say we're going to be going to that 100. If you do the fibs, 100 to 105, that's what you're going to be looking for here. Because a lot of times those fibs, you'll overshoot, and you go to that 100, 105 level. That's what we're looking at. Downside right here, very, very key, 93.70. That's it. Then we look to today's low. You're looking at 90.50, and then we have the 8-day at 87.27. Then we come over the top of that candle, 82.67. Then we can venture all the way down to your 21-day. But right now, uptrending chart, got negative divergence going here, But let's just see how that all shakes out. It's not as good as what the gold is running, but silver had a very, very good run here. And it looks like we have another good breakout, and then before we get another consolidation. All right, let's take a look here now at the crude oil. All righty, here we have the crude ski, okay? Now, again, with crude oil, there is nothing to do with supply or demand kind of a situation. Bottom line, crude oil, this is all about taking over the tankers, taking over Venezuela, taking over Greenland. Okay, you're getting this market hammered here unless they come up with some kind of a situation. Why you're obsessed with Greenland is beyond me. Okay, yeah, I understand. Same with Venezuela. Yeah, they got a lot of oil, but they just discovered that basin in the Permian Basin, you got 1.6 billion barrels down there. Just go drill that. Okay, very, very easily. Okay, however, as a trader, we don't care about all that nonsense. We care about making money. I'm long the UCO, okay? Now, what I'm watching here, you can see how it popped up against that 100-day. But again, we haven't closed above this 60.16. That's the key. Now we get above that, then we have that 60.51 level. We'll come up the top of there at 61.01. You got 61.50, and then 62.20. That is your key. Now, when we look here on the weekly chart here, we're right above that 59.69. That's your key 21-day, and then right below it, we have 58.32. That's going to be very key. Now, you have to get above that 63.12, that 50 SMA here, okay? So that's going to be the key. If you can get above 62.20, that's going to be your next target. It's going to be that 63.12. And then we have a nice target up there at 66.42, which is basically just the top of that candle right there, okay? So very, very nice. Very, very easy trade here. Downside here, just watch that key 8-day. That's going to be key 59.71. Watch the 50-day, 58.59, and the 21-day sitting at 58.29, okay? So right now, we just have to decide exactly. But for me, this is just a trade, long and short. Right now, it's a long trade, okay? It's looking here pretty nice. Again, on a lot of enough stuff that just is not supply and demand, it just, bottom line, it's a nonsense kind of a situation, okay? Just like what we had here. Okay, you had that war premium, and then basically what we have now is just that run-up situation. But again, the key is going to be that 200-day at that 62.20. Watch that, because look how it stopped it. Look how it stopped it. We crack above that, then we have that nice 66, right here, 66.42 level. Okay, let's take a look here now at natural gas. Alrighty, here we have natural gas, daily and weekly. Getting some love here today. Now remember, got contract roll coming here this week. So I just got to be a little, cautious about that whole situation. However, very, very cold weather, Arctic blast coming in here. Where I am, I think what it is, it's like 10 degrees out there right now. I think it is. It's like 10 degrees outside. It's supposed to get down to 0 to negative. I guess Chicago is like minus 20 degrees or something like that. Well, at least if it's minus 20 in Chicago, at least they'll keep the crime down. They'll stay in the house. They won't be shooting people. You know what I'm saying? So maybe that'll help with that. But again, that's why natural gas here is popping up very nicely. However, I jumped in UCO, UNG. Yeah, a little bit late, but that's okay. It got down to 11.97. You're up there at 12.54. I got into it yesterday. At 8 o'clock. Because remember, you can trade all these ETFs starting Sunday night. Well, yesterday was a case because we had the holiday. So Monday night, 8 o'clock, all the way to Friday, 8 o'clock. You can jump in all of these ETFs. If it's UCO or SCO for oil, UNG, KLD for, or the XLE if you want to jump into. So there's a lot of things that you can just trade 24 hours, which I think is awesome. Okay, so now you can see here what we just gapped up. We went to the 200-day, the 21-day, and that 100-day, and we rallied all the way into that 3.99. Now, why did it stop there? Well, just look at the weekly chart. Look what we got here. Boom. Okay, right into that 8-day on the weekly, and boom, down she comes. Now remember, the simple moving averages on the weekly chart are going to be very, very strong support and resistance. Okay, so just remember that we popped right into it, and that's what stopped it right then and there. Now, if we can keep right on going here, then we look at today's high, looking at that 399 level. We'll come up here, you're looking at that 402, and then we can come now up here, you're looking at that 417, and then we'll be looking right here for that 418. This is your 50 SMA here. That's going to be very, very key. Okay, downside, well, very, very simple. Okay, here's your support level. You got the 100-day, okay, we got the 21-day, we got the 200-day, 353, and then 331 down at the bottom here. However, we do have this gap, so always pay attention. Okay, 3.38 on the bottom and 3.323. Now, this is just because we have this cold weather going here. So again, you know, that never lasts. We get a warm up, this can come flying down real quick. Okay, so you're now at 53. We cross over there. So actually, this is looking pretty good, but you got to get above this 8-day on the weekly. That's going to be very, very key. Okay, so you crack above that, then we can start moving higher. Okay, now again, on a closing basis, not just the pop and drops. Then we have that 375, and we have that 21-day at 375, and then we come all the way down here at 363. So again, we got that weather coming in, very cold Arctic blast, going to blast everybody here, starting this day all the way there through Sunday is supposed to be. So again, be very, very cautious on what you're trading, but use stop losses on this because we get, say, a little bit of something that it starts warming up. This could come off dramatically. Okay, let's take a look here now at the old indexes. All right, indexes. I should play that song, Hammer Time. Okay, because that's exactly what we're getting here, just hammered. Now, we got all this here. As you see, it just couldn't pop through that 49,633 level, and down she comes right on down. So your upside, you got to watch that 21-day right there, 48,810. Got to watch that 49,247. That's your 8-day. Downside, we're looking for that 50-day, 47,999. Then we have 47,849. That is going to be your bottom of your candle, and then we just bring this price channel right across. See how easy that is? And then we bring this channel right across here. And then we look at that 47,263, and then we have right here, we got 47,168, and then we can come all the way down to the retest here. Now, we're still uptrending chart. Okay, so again, one day does not make a market. This is all that tariff nonsense that's going on. Okay, it's basically what you're doing is uncertainty. And traders do not like uncertainty. That's the key. You know, are these going to escalate into 10, 25%? How is it going to ruin the economy and all this kind of stuff? So that's what you're trading. That's why the market is falling off here today. S&P, same thing. Look at this. Boom. We had that 69.86. Couldn't make to that 7,000. And boom, down goes Fraser. So now what we're watching on the upside is 68.29. And then we'll be watching these gaps. Okay, so today's high, 68.71. Then we have your 69.03. And then we're going to have that fill all the way down there at 69.25. That's the same way here. Once we get above that, even get back above that 20 on day, then we have to look at today's a high at 49.05. There's your gap. Then we look to the bottom of that candle at 49.46. That's your fill. So we have a lot of gaps, a lot of fills going on here. But the yield chart is still uptrending here. So on the downside here, just watch that right there. That's the key level, that 47.45. That's your 100-day. Then we'll come to the bottom there, 47.20 level, and then you can come all the way down here very easily at 65.21. Now, here we have the old NASDAQ. And this is the same thing. This is actually probably the worst of all the charts. This is already hitting that 100 SMA here, okay? So right there, that's what we're watching. Very, very critical, 22,933. We lose that. Here's your next target right there at 22,692, and we come down to the bottom there, 22,478, and we have 22,231, and we can retest all the way down here. Okay, so just remember, this is a hammer time here. The market does not like this confusion that's going on here and all these tariffs and all this situation. So just got to be very, very prepared this year here, next year, and the next year after that. As this rolls on, you can have all these circumstances. So no matter who the president, whether you like him, you don't like him, it's meaningless. What you have to do is you got to learn how to trade what you have in front of you. That's the key, okay? Not what you want. I always say that every day, but that is reality, okay? So you have to trade to where you see this volatility. But again, there was a lot of good trades. CRK, Comstock Resources was a good trade. UGA for the gasoline was a good trade. UNG for the natural gas was a good trade. UCO was a really good trade. And then you had a lot of good short skis that you could have done today. Like a Bitcoin was a BITI, really, really good trade. So you have to look at this situation as a two-way trade, okay, in these kind of times that have that uncertainty. Alrighty. Alrighty. I will see you tomorrow morning and we'll do it all over again. Trade what's in front of you, not what you want.